Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Alliance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Mopars.com. Sunday fun day, a little after 8 p.m. Figured I would come out here and finally take care of this. What is this, you ask? Well, when we showcase the new Maxx 90 locking flex head, which is not that, it's this. And as you can see, true to my word, I was able to keep the handle clean. Driver showed up last week, swapped handles out, so now we've got green. But in that video, I teased this. I'll try to replicate it for you. I think I might have had a little bit more red showing, and I said, hey, we've got this coming too. And I've been slammed at work, haven't had a lot of free time. And subsequently, this should have been filmed a long time ago, and for that I do apologize. But I believe it was Caleb Haynes, can't remember the last name now, but Caleb actually guessed correctly what I was teasing, and that helps anybody out. You're thinking P2, P2 triangular. You're going into the pizza business, aren't you? And you're going to ship them globally, frozen, able to be cooked on a hot engine, right? Not quite. It is this. It is a Tekton screwdriver, a brand new Tekton screwdriver, in fact. And my apologies again, not getting this out. It's just been sitting here hanging around until I have free time. Decided to prioritize the locking flex head from Mac, but this is nonetheless less exciting, I guess is the way to word that, right? This thing was brand new, literally ordered it, and they'd sort of teased it. If you're on their email list, they kind of, things are changing, blah, 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 and these are on clearance, the old handles. And you're thinking, that's weird. And then I think the beans sort of spilled sometime earlier in the summer. You sort of had a rough idea. They were going German, and it's like, well, if you know anything about German tools and who private labels, this should have been your top prospect, and if it was, you would in fact be correct. But the price point on this guy was $8. I'm gonna see if we've got a part number on here. I don't think we do. I don't seem to find my shipping ticket, but the official part number from Tekton will be DWP. That's Driving with Poodles 00302. So that's number 2 Phillips, red handle, standard matte chrome shaft, black tip, 4 inches, 100 millimeter, and this shape, when I do this, it should dial something in for you. Maybe pizza, maybe you can't unsee it now, but if you're thinking, that really does look familiar, well, we're going to make you wait. Now, I'll tell you right now, if you're new here, timestamps and links, they are down below, and I'm trying to think of the best way to segue this for you. Maybe we won't make you wait. Maybe we'll just go ahead and tell you. This is now, if you haven't figured it out again from what I've said, it is made in Germany. We'll just go ahead and cover the screwdriver, I guess. But P2, that's going to be Phillips number 2. You can see the tip right there. Again, black vapor blasted tips. You've got the matte chrome on the shaft. You got Witte's signature standoffs there. That just kind of slipped out there, didn't it? You've got Phillips 2 here. You've got Tekton. You've got P2 and the icon here. We go to pad 2. I'm going to try to keep the index finger there for you. Pad 2, we have nothing. This pad, flip side, we've got Phillips 2, and that is just upside down, right? How can we fix that? By spinning it over, and if I get my finger back, man of my word, kept it right there. So if we kind of take a look here, you can see 1, 2, and 3, and you think, 3 sides. Trilobe. Who does that? Who does that in Germany? Well, it's not Ghidorah. It's not Via. You're thinking, Zetz, they've had a lot of new screwdrivers recently. Can't think of one. Stahlwille, they don't really have anything like that. Is it Witte? And it is. Again, I think that translates over as white in English. I like to say witty personally. I know that's 100% incorrect. It's just funny. But Witte, that's the German Tool Review's official pronunciation, and that's what we're going to go with. I don't believe Colin and KC Tool have updated their pronunciation video, so we're just going to roll with that. But do what you want to. Just know they are the people that have the sweet screwdrivers that you're probably way more familiar with than you realize. So you're thinking, whoa, Tekton stepping up, going to Germany. What that thing costs, like $35? No. Not even close. You're thinking like, it wouldn't be more than that. 25 bucks. Yeah, right there, tool truck territory. Stepping on up, Tekton. No, you're wrong again. You're thinking like, oh yeah, they would have to be cheaper than tool trucks, right? So half the price, let's go 15, 12.50 to 15. No. And you're thinking like, was it $40? No, it's not that. We need to go down. And if you're thinking like 10, you could easily argue a screwdriver imported from Germany with the way the world is operating right now could easily be 10 bucks, but you would be wrong again. You're thinking like, I don't know, like 8? Well, congratulations, you got it. Right? There's only so many single-digit numbers below 10, and $8 is what I paid for this thing. Brand new, hot off the press. And I guess, you stupid Matco junk over here, about to roll off and cause me all kinds of trouble. All right, we're just going to jump in right here. And again, am I special? I like to think I am, but you too could just subscribe to an email list and you'd have gotten this. I think this thing came out September 24th. Officially went live with it. New screwdriver lineup right there. You can see. Some of you are going to love these colors. Some of you are not. I'll let you look at that and make the decision. But they have released 34 individual screwdrivers with 3 handle sizes that scale with the tips. The handle's red exterior, again, everywhere not the palm zone there, is made of a lightly textured TPE or thermoplastic elastomer material that is slightly soft and grippy for controlled spinning, fine adjustments, and reduced slipping under torque. They now move into a second selling point saying it's designed for speed and torque. Again, their words, not mine. And, they're going to advertise drivers with the small tip sizes have smaller, more rounded handles for control with precision screws. Drivers with larger tip sizes have bigger, more triangular handles to turn larger screws with more torque. Next selling point is steel shanks that won't twist out. Again, there's your little graphic there. The end of the shank, again, what you cannot see, caked on about to, I don't know, third of the way, halfway, somewhere between there and the handle, is flattened to form a broad surface that resists twisting inside the handle. The handle is molded around the shank, creating a solid connection that is stronger and straighter than simply pressing the shank into a pre-made handle. Are we done? Of course not. Look at this. Tip geometry and coating. The shanks have a satin chrome finish. Again, this is a big deviation from Tekton's past drivers. With masked tips that have a manganese phosphate coating for precise geometry and corrosion resistance. Again, typically cheap screwdrivers are chrome plated. You think, I like chrome better. Well, if they're really cheap, you're going to have that chrome flaking off. Imagine working on a carburetor, if anyone else still does that, and you've got chrome dropping down. Not cool. Good screwdrivers, worth their money. To make these drivers, this is officially from Tekton. In fact, let's see if I can zoom in, let you read this. To make these drivers, we've partnered with, Witte, pronounced Witte. Like I said, Witte's just kind of fun. A leading German screwdriver manufacturer with over, are you ready for this, 240 years of manufacturing expertise. Witte provides a steady production base, allowing us to focus on design, inventory, and customer support. So, if you were unaware, what they said there is 100% accurate. Witte that's kind of what they're known for. They do, obviously, in-house screwdrivers under their own name and branding, but they do a ton of private labeling. That can be what you deem rebrands, like tool truck type of stuff. It can just be if I wanted to go in and have my own screwdrivers made, and a couple places shot me down and said, we don't do that, blah, 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 and then one of them was trying to throw me a bone, and it's like, hey, you know, we don't do private labeling, but if you're looking for something of similar quality to what we sell that does do private labeling, call Witte. And that's what I would do, and this is where I would go, and we'd sit down, prototype, go over what my design parameters, requirements are, colors, all those things, and this is clearly what Tekton has done. Now this, you think, oh, Well, you must be thrilled, little Mr. German Tools over here, right? Holding it down on the internet in the absence of German tool reviews. Who do we go to when there's new German tools coming out or rolling through? This guy, right? You must just be absolutely ready to gloat, brag, say, see, German engineering is superior. Tekton even admits it. They retired their production line from the Far East, and here they are in Germany making superior tools at fractions of the tool truck price, right? Not necessarily. And here is why. We've got a flashback. I just pulled up my video. This is actually Tekton Tool Haul number 1. It released, I'm sure it was recorded a long time prior, but it released June 27th, 2020. That's right, over 5 years ago. Hard to believe. But in that video, we had a haul, a couple things like some oxygen sensor sockets, which suck, by the way. There's a live update for you. They spread like crazy. But something that we had in there was screwdrivers. Okay, and right here, this is what Tekton dubbed their high torque handle. And you're thinking, like, high torque handle, huh? Well, let's take a look. It almost looks like a tire. It looks like it'd be very grippy, sort of like a soft rubber. Not necessarily as soft, squishy, rubbery as you would think, but very unique. Now, if I turn it this way, you can see Tekton always seems to value labeling the driver, which is a nice feature for the consumer, especially, you know, as popular as pack out stuff and, you know, bags have become. But you got your part number, you got your Phillips identification, tip size, you got your country of origin there. More on that shortly, elephant in the room. But if you look at this, it's kind of, what, reminding you of my cupped pepperoni. Right, my P2. Maybe not quite as pronounced, but you can clearly see the trilobular inspiration on this driver. In fact, I could almost guarantee you, I didn't watch my video, but if I were to go back through it, I probably told you, hey, this is trilobe like Witte does, and that's probably for what? Torque. Tekton even hit on it in their selling points. When you have a handle style like this, okay, we're going to come in, and what this is going to do, the purchase that you get with your hand as you twist, as you turn, it is torque. We're not sitting there trying to run this thing in a million miles an hour like you would do with a smaller area or a smaller profile driver. This is designed for torque, whether it's tightening, whether it's loosening, whether it's just something is seized and you're going to town on it. That is really the benefit of the trilobe. Now, you can see right here I can get decent spin with this, but not as good if it was less bulky in this area. What's holding me up isn't the material, it's not, you know, anything along those lines. It's that this interference with my palm, and that's simply due to the bulk that you see there. If we came in and grabbed, I'll just get this PB Swiss because it's the closest thing to me, I can spin this significantly quicker because there's less material filling that globular structure that exists between your fingers and your palm when you're grabbing a screwdriver. So this was high torque, and you're like, well, that's a very natural progression. I can see what they're doing. Wait, there's more. Right here. This, you're thinking like, oh, hard-handled plastic, God's gift to mechanics. This is just, oh, nectar of the gods right here. I don't really know where that mindset came. There cannot be that many people that truly believe that. It's got to be something where people either simply regurgitate other people that say that. They don't want to deviate against the norm. Maybe they haven't tried anything else. I certainly understand, you know, and I've known old dudes that are the same way. They want the square. I mean, not even square style, but just square, ice pick style screwdriver handles. I've known the old dudes. Most of them have sadly passed away. But there are people that genuinely love and swear by a handle style like that. I am not one. Again, we could go back 5 years. If I were to replay through that video, I probably said the same thing. This is actually a little quicker to spin. As poor as I personally deem the ergonomics of this, it's quicker to spin just because, again, the smaller profile on the backside. Now, while I sit here and bash this, you've got to understand something. Tekton had flavors. They had options for people. If I, like, oh, no, not a square handle, I'm going to go that route. I get the torque, right? Some of you might have practical applications where you're like, okay, hey, I want this driver to actually be for turning fast. I want this one for C stuff. I'm just going to buy that in big slotted sizes, a Phillips 2 and 3, and go to town. Everything else smaller, it's going to be square handle for speed or just personal preference, right? So with this, there is a huge, again, whether this is just people regurgitating others' thoughts and opinions, running with it, being afraid to have their own thoughts, whatever, just legitimately has never held anything else, or maybe they truly do like that the best. There is a huge, massive contingent of people, particularly amongst hardcore tool people, people that use tools but are also on forums, on videos, on social media, expressing their thoughts and opinions, that swear by square hard handles. Not just hard handles, but square hard handles, right? You'll see the same stuff with snap-on ratchets. You ruined it after the hard handle. Okay. It is what it is. I realize it, I recognize it, I question it critically, but it is nonetheless a contingent there. Now, trained eyes are also going to notice something else. This driver, the square handle, has a fancy, typical Americana chrome shaft. This one had a black shaft. As best I recall, and I did not look any farther into Tekton screwdrivers beyond when they came out like mini pry bars and stuff, which, guess what? I'm not a fan of those hard handles either. They had different shafts. If I wanted the chrome shaft on this or the black shaft on the red hard handle, you could integrate that. You can style these however you want to. If you want hard handle chrome for your clean interior drivers, do it. If you wanted to get the square hard handle again with a black shaft for your dirty beater drivers, you were able to do that and distinguish them. Same thing if you wanted to go multiple handle styles. So peculiarity number one of this decision is simply they've gone away from their options and they just have this singular offering. Now they do have insulated drivers. That's another can of worms we won't get into. But whether it's a hybridization between these, whether it was just keeping the price point similar, that's what they went with. You have one option. Want a black shaft? Can't get it. Want a plastic hard handle? Not an option. Want that kind of mid tri-lobe design? Not there. This is what you get. Okay. Now it's $8. We've covered what I paid for that. Going back to that video, since I meticulously go through and timestamp and put links for people, I was quickly able to see what I paid for these two drivers in 2020 or 2019. And the high torque, which again is going to be the black trilobular one, $8. The hard handle cost a little bit more, $9.10. Now some of you are going to scream, that's cheaper than that. Yes, they are on clearance. They're blowout clearance prices. You've probably seen people bringing these things in droves at fractions of the price, 30, 50, whatever % off. I don't do jungle site shopping. You want to hunt it down and get the exact prices, you do that. But when I bought these, and they would have been relatively probably brand new, about just like that one, $8, $9.10. So this driver right here, same price as this one, slightly less than this guy. So what's the catch? You're thinking like, Germany, $8, 5 years later, inflation, the world is nuts. How is that possible? I'm just going to come out with the assumption of deductive reasoning and say production. You hear me say this all the time. Okay. Witte, what do they do? Screwdrivers. What do they do well? Screwdrivers. Who do they make screwdrivers for? A ton of people. The volume is there, right? If you're coming in, I don't know who Tekton was using to make these. I'm going to guess the volume is fractions of what Witte cranks out. That's why, like, if I had this price, if Tekton had been using Witte in 2020, it might have been $4.50, $5 a driver, right? And they're still turning a profit, keeping their margins. Now it's $8 in line with what this was, and a little less than the plastic hard handle. Why is that important? Well, this is the second peculiarity. These two drivers, and you should have picked up on this if you don't remember, if you just paid attention here, you should have seen it. Country of origin. You're thinking like, yeah, Taiwan. They're in Germany now, buddy. You should be celebrating this more than anyone. No, these drivers were both made in America. Case in point, Tekton, very transparent to their credit always, whether it's Taiwan, USA, wherever it might be. They've been quite transparent, clear as day on the website. They don't try to hide things. These were both made in America. I don't know if they were done in-house. I don't know if they had somebody like the Pratt Reed replacements or just some specialty manufacturer knocking them out in batches, trying to keep the cost down but not have too much inventory on hand. I don't know the details on that stuff, okay? But I do know these were USA made. Now, that gets into the crux of the situation that makes this so weird, because the only logical way I can look at this and say, oh, that makes sense, is Tekton wanted a quality driver at an affordable price, and that was the way to go about it, right? They sort of hybridized things all in one, instead of stocking basically 4 drivers, right? If they did away with the shaft interchangeability, again, I have not kept up with it. I've sort of been disappointed with some of the impacts and the oxygen sensors and stuff, and I kind of stay away from things. Then there's other things they have, that are USA made, laser cut angle wrenches. I really like that they're specialized angles on both ends. I like them. I kind of stay up on that. Apparently not enough. You'll see more about that in the next Tekton tool haul. But this is one driver that they'll carry now. You want a number 2 Phillips, you can probably pick a couple different lengths, but if you just want a standard 4-inch shaft Phillips number 2, that's your driver. Whereas previously, driver 1, high torque, black shaft. Driver 2, high torque, chrome shaft. Driver 3, hard handle, chrome shaft. Driver 4, hard handle, black shaft, right? Unless Tekton is buying this stuff a la carte, and they're getting the shafts in, getting the handles in, pressing them on site as per orders, or just in batches up to X quantity, the efficiency of the Witte option is going to allow them to keep quality product at a lower price. Again, I don't know what these got up to price-wise. I can't tell you, because now they're out of production in clearance, right? Important thing you can take away from this, number 1, if you hated these, you have a new option from Tekton that's very reasonably priced. A known commodity for me personally from Witte, I can get behind that. Number 2, if you loved either of these handles, you can still get, I would think, most of them, probably not all, but you can get them at reduced prices. So if this was your driver, if this is the greatest number 2 Phillips you've had, it's the best thing since your green-handled square SK. Whatever it might be, go now, buy these, get them cheap, stock up on them, have yourself covered for the future. I can tell you that because I'll have stuff linked, right? But they're not affiliate links. You could go buy every single screwdriver Tekton has left. You could go buy these sets. I don't see a dime. Tekton doesn't care if I sell screwdrivers for them, okay? I'm bringing this in to showcase it. I have great interest in this stuff. That's the end of it. There's no hidden agenda there, all right? So, you got to be thinking like, well, I don't understand. You should be happy. You're like the German tool guy. It's like, yeah, I would consider myself a German tool guy, and I do think that's a great value. Makes total perfect sense. But it would have made way more sense to me if these drivers came from Taiwan, right? Tekton in general has done a great job with progressing their lineup of tools from China, Taiwan. They bring some stuff in, they develop things, they did big time investments in the laser stuff. And your kind of end goal, if I were to start selling tools right now, not through affiliate links to Amazon, but like, hey, I want to put my name on this stuff, I would kind of do things like this company. Okay? Matco, this is a driver prior to recording this, tried for the life of me to find that currently on their website. I cannot. I guess they phased it out. But what they used to have when I did that haul, you can go back and find it, this was kind of their cheaper driver. Now, Matco, it does a very good job about hiding the country of origin. I didn't know until I bought this that it was not, like a higher spec given the price point. But a normal company would start out and they would just have cheap stuff, right? And they would sort of work their way up. And maybe they get to Taiwan, and maybe it's like, ooh, we could possibly swing this here in America now. We got CNC capabilities, we got the staff, the people. We can partner with these folks for our handles. This might actually work. That's kind of like your end goal, and Tekton has kind of achieved that dream on certain fronts, right? Matco, case in point, if I throw this down, you're thinking, huh, that looks familiar. Yeah, it looks a lot like that, doesn't it? And that's because this is made by Witte. And if you're thinking like, no way, yes way. Again, it amazes me how many people do not know these things after all this time and all these years of the internet. I have covered this ad nauseum countless times, and I still have people go, I didn't know that. Or they'll argue and say, no, that's USA made, it's Matco. And some people, you just cannot help them, right? I only have so much time in this world, on this planet, and I'll do what I can do. But Matco, again, I'm not a huge fan of the company. This was the piece of junk that was going to roll off and go somewhere that I couldn't reach and ruin this part of the video. But I always try to give them credit. They don't manufacture stuff outside of toolboxes. But in general, I think they do a decent job of partnering with people to private label things. In this case, Witte, right? They've identified who makes a good screwdriver that we could put our name on. And hey, they did a good job, right? The other thing, again, not to seem like a total jerk, I try to be fair. What else does Matco do very well, maybe better than any other big tool company? And that is color options. This is green. This is a green screwdriver. They've got a really cool blue, which was not out when I ordered that, or I would have gone that route. Orange, red, your typical tool truck colors. They're all there, right? If you want to go with Witte, right, you're not going to get custom colors unless you're private labeling. You're going to get what they offer. Similarly, if you go with Tekton, you're going to get Tekton's colors, which are red and black. Do I wish Tekton offered, like blue and green? Yeah, of course I do. But I totally get it. They're a smaller company. It's Tekton. They want their driver to go out and be their colors, which are red and black. I'm not going to ride them too hard on that front. I don't ride Quinn and Pittsburgh for those things. But with Icon, which they claim is the tool truck equivalent, I constantly say, where are the colors? You compare it to Snap-on, you compare it to Matco, you compare it to Mac. Where's the color options? You nuts, right? I don't expect Tekton to do that, although if they wanted to, that would be cool. However, this is the next segue that I can kind of walk you through. And before we do that, $8, German-made #2 Phillips. This, I'm pretty sure when I bought it, it was right around $30. As of me, like I'm talking right before I clicked record, looking at Matco's website, what did this cost? $37.95. That is absolutely insane. Your driver could be the nicest dude in the world, but that is an absurd price. I hope none of you with a Matco dealer are paying anywhere close to those full retail prices. You got to have BOGOs, you got to have discount, you got to have something. Yes, I know he'll show up and he'll swap the driver out or something maybe, but good Lord, that $8 versus basically $40, that is 1/5 the price. And mind you, I don't know what their margins are, but Tekton is making money selling this driver at $8. One could easily argue Matco is probably going to sell more screwdrivers than Tekton. Something doesn't match up. In this case, advocacy goes to Tekton. Okay, take care of yourself, buy 5 of those instead of 1 of these. The green is cool. The blue is awesome. I like that they have orange. But good Lord, if this was $8 versus $15, I'd be like, you know what? I really do think having the blue driver would make me happy. It's worth it to me. $8 versus $40, I'll take the red, sir. It's kind of one of those things that just does not transition across the board. We're getting close to timing out there, so I figure it's a great time to make our segue, and that is into what can you actually get from Witte for the same price, right? We know this is absurdly high. Cool as it might be, absurdly high. And we know this is actually like a pretty solid buy. Not that their USA-made drivers won't, right? I think if you had the option for the average person going to be shopping on Tekton, if you face them with an $8 driver from America or Germany, I think most people, without having experience with either one, will default to the American-made driver. Now, maybe if you're shopping from Spain, you don't care, you don't have the allegiance to the countries, right? But for the average person in America, this was a big deal. They had the hard handle that, again, somehow people just still love, and they had great prices for an American-made product. Two-Teg, that's really good. The downfall of production in America is the price goes up. You know, like your labor rates are higher, the materials are higher. You don't get like this third world discount, you know, we could go into whole discourses on those things. You don't have that. And so for Tekton to be able to produce these in whatever volume they were with 4 collective options for $8 to $9, that was pretty legit price-wise, right? I'm not saying this is a terrible price. It's also great. But I think the average guy, given the choice at that rate, is going to do it. Now, come back to Matco for 40 versus Tekton for 8. If this is Germany, Japan, Taiwan, make it China, the average person is not going to say, yeah, it's worth it to me. There's some people that will, and kudos to you, to buy American. But that gradient there, 5 times the price, that's where most people back off. Now, if it's critical machinery, something along those lines, maybe you justify it, but for a hand tool, a basic hand tool, you're going to lose a lot of people in that chasm, okay? If it was $8 Taiwan, $12 America, or maybe 8 Taiwan, 12 Germany, 16 America, you're going to lose a lot of sales, but you'll still have a good chunk of people say, hey, I want the American-made one. And they did great here. They're doing great on that front. And again, this is 5 years later, so to keep that price the same or a little less, that's a big win for the consumer. Also, again, I've got, man, at this point, almost a decade of use with Witte Direct, okay? So I can attest to the drivers, they're pretty good. Going beyond that, in other private labels, one of the longest lasting Phillips at work is private labeled from Witte. All right. It is it's from, we used to have a company. There's all these companies, you know, people, seems like now everyone's familiar with Kimball Midwest, but there's a company called Lawson, basically like industrial supplier, if you will. Bolts, nuts, hardware, tools. A lot of their tools were private labeled. And they kind of did the Matco. They went through and seemed to do a decent job sourcing things. It is straight up yellow. Their colors were like brown and yellow, as weird as that may seem. But the driver was yellow. It had the felt pads on it, and it's still kicking, surprisingly enough. But I want to come in here because this is the type of thing that not many other people can offer you, right? This would have been way better if I had this structured, but we'll just come in and throw this stuff down. We got driver 1 from Witte, okay? We got driver 2 from Witte. If I thumb around here enough, we've got, let's see, driver 3. You'll kind of understand all of this over time. Driver 5, driver, oh, may not have that one like I thought. We'll throw it down. Driver 4, and some other stuff over here. So, what is going on with Witte, whatever you want to call it? We'll go Witte again. They don't just have one screwdriver, for goodness sakes. That's what this company is known for, particularly their private labeling for other companies. They have a lot of options. In fact, in their own current catalog, you've basically got the gauntlet thrown down here, all right? Price-wise is how we're going to cover this, okay? Witte has what they consider their pro driver. This is trilobular, but it's way less pronounced. And this is their most economical driver. It's going to come in. These are all current, no sale, nothing, just current price at KC Tool. This is $8.80. So $8 for Tekton right there, $8.80 for this one. All right, we're gonna set that down. Now there is what is considered the Maxx Plus, or I'm sorry, the Pro Plus. So Pro right here for $8.80. The Pro Plus ratchets the price up a lot, but it's essentially that driver. This is an older one. It's that same driver with these felt pads added, and it brings the price up to $12. Again, this is slightly older handle. Don't hold it against me. It used to be called the Pro Top. After that, in the Pro line, you have what they call the Pro Impact. You can probably figure that out, right? You see that? That is a striking cap. You see this? That is a hex bolster. It's right here, $15.40, all right? You come in then, and you sort of get to where Tekton is in their design with this guy right here. Look down the barrel of that. Look familiar to you? I hope it does. This is what Witte is going to call their Maxx line, okay? $9.33. If you're thinking, wait a second, this one was $8. This was $9.33. Yeah, this is like 50 cents more basically than that driver. You get significantly higher with your anti-slip pads. You get a bit higher with your impact, right? Now, taking the Maxx up a notch to the Maxx, this is what you typically see me have. Like all my Torx drivers are in this line. That's probably where you've seen them in like the Ram Revival or hanging around the shop somewhere. These come in at $12. There is a heavy duty version. I honestly don't think I have it. And it's basically, I assume it would have a hex bolster, but the shaft, instead of being cylindrical, is hex based. A standard number 2 Phillips 100 millimeter, that would be $15.92. So do with that what you will. Now, Witte is not limited to just that, right? You can come over here. They do some crazy stuff. This is the Maxx Pro Nature. So instead of having a felt, these are very cool drivers, by the way, but instead of having felt, this is cork. Like legit cork. You kind of see, some of you are probably more familiar with Vessel's offerings, but this is the same profile you know and love. It's just cork, right? If I come in to this area, I think you'll find this interesting. Right here, this driver, you're thinking like, okay, Stahlwille, buddy, this is all about Witte. What are you doing? That's a totally different driver. Well, think of what Tekton just did. What did they go to do? They had Witte private label screwdrivers to their design specs. Here is Stahlwille. This is made by Witte, right? So I am actually a very big fan of this style of driver. I'm going to set it down. It's sort of akin to what you see here, all right, with the what they now dub the Pro, just done up to Stahlwille spec. Now, however, I'll say Tekton had some really crazy stuff. They're like, you know what? The tri-lobe is great, but we want to smooth it out sooner, quicker, and make it slimmer. They could go to town and just say, hey, we're going ground up. We want our own freaking handle. It's going to be a huge selling point. We've done the research. We've built the prototypes in hand. We've had all our employees with giant mitts, 7-foot-tall Mitch, 300-pounder. We got little Lisa, 4'11" in the office. Everyone loves this. It's their number one. They could have done something like this, the 3K from Stahlwille. These drivers are very underrated in my opinion. They're very unique, but both of these super nice. Stahlwille is where I started right before my thumb injury, actually filming out the screwdriver stuff. One of the reasons I stopped that, obviously the thumb injury, but number two, Witte was transitioning like big time. Everything they used to make was more along these lines, right? This color scheme here, which was super unique, very high visibility. You're not going to leave that behind. However, they got dirty so fast. It's kind of crazy. But let's see. This little guy is the one that's closest to me. You'll note this is the exact same style. This is the Maxx Pro, so it's essentially what they have. If you say drop down to a number 1 Phillips, it would be about this profile. So again, this one I can turn a little quicker, but it's still cumbersome because of the trilobular design. That said, where are we going with all of this information? Well, this is what kind of hits me. I don't know that a lot of people that would come in and make videos on this would take it in this much detail, probably. But it's interesting to me that Tekton came in, and with all of these options that they could have gone through, they could have just gone as cheap as possible, they could have gone as expensive as possible, they could have done what I really kind of would have expected them to do based on having 2 US-made options with 2 variants of each style. They could have come in and literally taken this cheapest driver and said, hey, that's going to be our bread and butter. People are going to love that thing. It's going to be cheap. It's going to sell. It's a quality driver. But let's come in and let's make this, right? You know, the Maxx Pro Plus. Let's get the felt. Let's give people basically a Matco screwdriver with Tekton across it for, you know, half the price, a third of the price. They could sell this thing right here for $12. And it would be a third of the price of the Matco. People that eventually learn of that, your tool truck pirates, your garage journal people, they would eat that stuff up. Like, I got Matco for less money. All right? People into German tools would probably be laughing at that. But hey, for everybody else, it would be a massive, massive win. I find it odd, even at launch, coming from US-made drivers with 2 distinct handle styles, that Tekton did a nice job in selecting Witte, only launched with 1 driver handle. I don't know if they're waiting for feedback from people. I don't know if they were torn on the felt. What better time to offer an impact-based driver? There's not one. You've relaunched. Maybe they'll come out with it for Black Friday. Maybe it'll be their big 2026 release. When you look at the tool trucks in terms of standard screwdrivers, you do not see this. No one has it. They don't want to mess with it. They don't want to warrant it. Snap-on, as many variations as they've had over the years. You ain't going to find striking cap screwdriver. Mac, you know, I'm a big Mac guy. You know, I got the guy coming by every week. Sure, you can get, you know, pry drivers, things like that Mayhew makes. You're not going to find a standard 100 millimeter 4-inch shaft number 2 Phillips with a striking cap. They don't want to warrant it. Okay. Same thing with Matco. They come in, they have access to that. They're clearly using Witte, right? They could just come in, hey, we want this one with a striking cap. They don't want to deal with it. This is a golden opportunity for Tekton to say, hey, for everyone that hates the tri-lobe, and there is a lot of people that are not fans of the tri-lobe design. Me personally, I like it. Do I think it's the quickest? No. Overall, is it a good quality driver handle? Yes. However, there are people just like that profess their love for hard square handles that despise a tri-lobe handle. They're not going to buy Witte's Maxx stuff, right? They're not going to buy Tekton's tri-lobe designs. They're going to go somewhere else entirely. That's where you come in with the Pro line, go impact, mark the price up, tang all the way through, striking cap. You're probably going to have to warrant them a little bit more. That would be a hot seller. That would be something super unique. In my opinion, it made more sense for Tekton to launch with the tri-lobe, since they've kind of already established themselves as a company that supports that. Go and place yourself, I'll be honest with you, one of the perks of a hard handle is people probably beat the snot out of it, right? You back me up on this, tell me I'm wrong, but this would be a golden ticket for Tekton to enter, and I personally, as a screwdriver dude, don't understand why they didn't tap into that immediately. And if you think like, oh yeah, Witte, yeah, they do that impact stuff, how does it hold up? Well, I'll tell you right now, I have a 5.5 that I've beat the ever-living snot out of at work. It is holding up beautifully. This is an older Pro Top 2 design, and you're thinking like, yeah, how did that one hold up? Well, I broke it. So Tekton would be on the hook to warrant that. Gador, right here. This one is broken. This, to Gador's credit, was a 3.5. Almost no one in Germany, aside from Gador, does a striking cap driver that small. One of the best things Vera does They're chisel drivers. I've yet to break mine. I think theirs is a 4.5. This one right here is a 3.5. It's great for clip releases. It lacks the striking cap. That's still salty that they do that. It's cool you get it, but it's like the yellow is supposed to be craft form chisel, and what is this? Viha might have, if you suck with a hammer, you need the most generous surface in the world. Go this route. The Stahlwille, which I actually do have one at work as well. They've got one Hazet. That's going to be out of Slovenia, the Oplast line. Theirs quite robust on a striking cap as well. It just kind of blows my mind that the Germans have striking caps. PB Swiss, I mean, right here. Okay. A lot of people go this route with German tools, with PB Swiss in this line. This is a lot of people's favorite driver, and it's because they can beat it, like literally. Okay. Harbor Freight has some super cheap ones, you know, but that is something missing really in the American marketplace outside of Taiwanese imports people will warrant out. And a couple of select Mayhew things. You got to give credit to Mayhew Channel Lock partnership there. They do that. But so many people look past that, don't consider it a valid option, which is stupid. I'm just going to call it what it is. And this would allow Tekton to kind of literally tap into an untapped market, pun intended there. But yeah, that is it. That is way more information, again, than the average person would ever want to know. And it's all here for your convenience. I'll say something I hope they also get into would just be magnetic bit holders, things along those lines, just dedicated. I know they've got multi-bit drivers with hard handles and stuff. If they still do, I don't know. But again, partnering with a company like Witte, you have a massive catalog at your disposal. And hopefully they take advantage of it. Again, we don't want to be too harsh. They could have it planned. Maybe someone at the company will see this and be like, oh, geez, you know, this idiot in the middle of nowhere is right. We did watch that. You know, we definitely need to get that. Let's do it and pretend like it was our idea. Like I said, I can't imagine them not thinking of that. So maybe it's going to be a supplemental or like surprise, you know, Snap-on doesn't do this, but we do. And they could just be gun shy because, hey, let's face it, you know, you're going to have people like me that break tips and say, hey, you said lifetime warranty. And maybe they'll do it on like a trial basis, like some hardcore Tekton people send them out. Please abuse these. We want to see how they last. Can it? Or be like, you know what? Those things actually seem to hold up. Let's roll with it. Caveat, we might discontinue the line and just replace it with a standard driver. I don't know. I'm, again, just a guy that likes tools and, you know, has ideas. So, yeah. What I want to know from you is what do you think of the Switch? Again, had Tekton been coming from this, like, you know, something in Taiwan or the Far East, China, something like that, and moved it to Germany, I'd be like, you know, tennis claps, right? Well done. We've been expecting you. But to go from America back, not that the quality isn't there, and it might even be superior, it's just kind of, you hate to see that, right? To their credit, at least they didn't go from America back to China and put something out for the same price. It's like junk. But I will tell you, I have used these, not these two. These are held back specifically for testing, but they're exact duplicate images. I haven't been very happy with the tips on those. That's kind of your elephant in the room, really, that I think goes unheralded. If you have people that have purchased these that don't just sing their praises because it's American made or because they got them, you know, dirt cheap on an outlet or something, I wasn't personally impressed with the wear of the tips. They wore prematurely, didn't provide great fitment in my opinion. Again, I could be a terrible outlier here. You know how many screwdrivers I have, and you know they come from all over the world, so I might be a little bit more stringent than others, but I don't think it was like a massively like great product. Love that they had the options, love it was US made. I just don't know that it was quite up to the quality you would hope it was, right? So with that, I know a lot of you are big Tekton people. have you already picked these up? Again, I assume you know about them. You probably got the same emails I did. You probably are on social media more than me, so you've probably been hammered with that stuff. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's a win? Are you disgusted? Are you disappointed? Do you remain indifferent? Like, oh, Germany, US is going to be good quality, but you hate tri-lobes? Like, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, this is kind of like elongated of a tri-lobe as it is actually a bit smaller of a profile than that. And keep in mind, that gets even bigger with a larger drive size. I could see it kind of being a split deal. I did a couple nights ago, and I thought I was going to get to record this. I did go to Tekton social media. They were getting grilled hard in the comments from people that were just pissed that this is no longer American made. And that ignores the hard handle faction, right? Those people, if they really, like, again, for me, I can't understand ergonomically liking this, unless you just have literally never held something you like better, which there are some people. I mean, I totally get it, like what I like, other people are going to hate, vice versa. But I think a lot of the rhetoric around a hard plastic handle in that form of a square is just people regurgitating what other people have said. You see this, you've been around doing this stuff as long as I have on YouTube. People will take someone else's video, ideas, comparisons, and just throw it out there as their own. It's pretty sad, really. That's why German Tool Reviews has not been like on YouTube in years at this point in time. I still tell people, if you think my videos suck, or they would be good if they were shorter, or man, if you could just be more concise. That dude did all that, and he was there before me. I found him because I was like, okay, hey, it's ironically I wasn't happy with Klein's number 2 Phillips, and I was like, okay, I think VHA would be pretty good. I knew that. How? Ironically, I think it was a Lawson kit. And you're thinking, aha, liar, you said they used Witte. They did, but not for precision drivers. They used VHA for that line. I assume it was them. I could be wrong. They weren't private label. They were just legit VHA, but it has like the Lawson skew thing on it, so I assume it was from them. But I was like, I'm going to try that. And I was like, where do I buy them? And there were some other things I was looking at. Of course, I wanted to go Mack, Vessel, VHA. That was my big deal. I found prices. I was like, it's KC Tool Place, seems okay, but I've never heard of them. I'm just like some scam artist online going to screw me over, take my money. What do I find when I search KC Tool? I find German Tool Reviews. And I'm like, well, hey, at least this guy got his stuff. I guess I'll give it a go. And here we are, like 150 tool hauls later. But that's how I found the dude. That's why I constantly give credit where credit is. Just like Matco, as much as I hate what they do and they're overpriced and everything, I give them credit for colors and for partnering with good companies, right? I mean, that's not a bad screwdriver. It's just a terrible price. Okay. And I get it. It's lifetime replacement. It's still a terrible price. But yeah, like I said, people just, the internet's a strange place, man. And you could come in and I could get like rainbow colored tools from China. Yeah, they look cool. I mean, I might even admit that, but the quality is not there. And if you say that the quality is there, other people are going to do. There's not a lot of people that want to say, I bought something that sucked, right? Or, I watched this channel on YouTube and, he has an affiliate link and I took it because he said it was great. And even in that case, you don't want to be like, screw that guy, I can't trust him anymore. You're like, yeah, these are awesome. And it's okay to have your own opinions, folks. Like, that's the beauty. You've got to do your own thing, call your own shots sometime in life, right? And I am not afraid to do that. So unlike other channels, that use clickbait and get rewarded for it, we could go into a whole can of worms there and we won't do it. But I want to know, what do you think? Are you sad to see? I mean, somebody probably thought that is perfect. I'm worse than this guy. I have more screwdrivers than that Lone Star Mopar idiot. And this was the greatest thing ever. Others of you, I mean, like I said, I know the old guys that swore by the green, chunky, black, super thick plastic handles, and they loved them, and they had the latest and greatest from Sears. They'd been on tool trucks, and they swore by those things. I get it. There are people that believe that. But in today's marketplace with the options available, I have a really hard time believing, especially when it's like somebody under the age of like 65, that this or a hard handle would be the greatest thing they'd ever held. Maybe it's the most durable, maybe you like it the best initially, but in terms of functionality, I can't believe there's that many people. And I genuinely think it stems from people just regurgitating others' thoughts, but it's neither here nor there. If this was your favorite, how do you like this? How does it nest in? Do you feel it's like a hybrid between the two? Do you hate it? There are people, as good as these Witte drivers are, particularly like your Maxx and your Maxx Pro and the Maxx Pro, they've gone through so many different name changes with the same drivers, it's kind of hard to keep tabs on it, even for someone like myself. But there's people that just absolutely hate this style handle. There's also people that still will not understand that Matco does not make these, that will swear that the Matco drivers are the best ever. Interestingly enough, Matco, this is all they offer, okay, in a standard screwdriver. They don't offer a Pro, they don't offer something less expensive. So you kind of have this option and this option. However, with some of their older drivers, like Torx or their smaller drivers, they actually drop down. So again, I can't explain what other companies are thinking. However, this is basically the same driver minus your felt material, right? I will tell you, and this might spoil future videos, but I took a set of the Maxx Pro Plus, it used to be Maxx Pro Plus, I guess now it's Maxx Plus, to work, and I did that because I'm like, okay, my hands get dirty, I'm in oily stuff. I was literally changing, I had to put diapers on the forklift for years, okay? Like it was just leaking like a sieve from a gland nut, and I would run pig mat around it with gearworm clamps, this whole stupid shebang, but my hands would like be covered in hydraulic oil, and I was using that. And the first day I took those to work, I was like, yeah, textured grip, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I can see, yeah, this is a big deal. What did I do when I was done? I wanted to clean the tool up. I'm not going to throw hydraulic oil dripping off of a screwdriver shaft in the box, right? So I came in, what do I have? I have red shop rags. Big mistake, huge mistake. Guess where all the red shop rag went? Onto these pads. And then when you try to get it off, it's like pulling the material away. Bad deal. Just take my word for it. Hey, if you want to find out, go get you a Matco, get you one of these to compare to this. That, I mean, literally, Tekton, for all we know, might have been like, yeah, we're going to do the Matco drivers and sell them for like 1/3 of the price, and we're going to kill it in the marketplace. Everyone's going to love us. They might have done that, you know, dunked their hands in oil, grabbed it, be like, oh yeah, you know, this thing, I broke that free, didn't slip a single time. And they're like, what do? They go to clean their prototype up for the next guy to try, right? What happens? Same thing that happened to me. It might be that simple, folks. We just don't know. But it would be interesting to know how they picked this tri-lobe out of all these options and more. Just, I mean, full ground up type of stuff, like you saw with Stahlwille. But, yeah, my hope and dream is they go the impact route. If they don't, I'm going to assume, like you, it's probably they're scared of the warranty and the margins rapidly evaporating, right? But I will quit rambling. Ultimately, I want to know your thoughts. Are you sad about these going away? Do you like this? This is kind of the flip side, you know, like we can talk all we want about these. Hard handle, this, tri-lobe, good or bad. USA versus Germany. Is it a big deal to you? Or are you just like, hey, both are going to be good as long as the price is there? Or is it like, hey, screw it. They had USA, that's why I bought those. I'm not touching that again. When these break, I'm done. You know, I'm going to get my replacement, I'm going to sell it, and I'm out. Checking out, I'm going somewhere else. Tell people, again, don't be worried that your sentiment is not expressed in the comments section. That's the whole point of the comments section. Deviation from the norm, right? But I don't want to ramble on too much more. Again, I warned you. It's probably more information than the average person would care to know. But as I said, you're above average. That's why you're here, and I thank you for that. If you want to see more crazy stuff like this, I encourage you to subscribe. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek, you crash down, and your collection of Witte screwdrivers rolls forward past the roll cage toward the center console. YouTube just might notify you we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. That said, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here next week for more action from the shop.